Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. Today I'm in the studio with my brother and we're going to be using some very old glassblowing techniques to make one of our larger vases for you. So go ahead and get a drink, sit back, relax, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, and I hope you guys enjoy the process.
Closer to you. Yeah, back.
So my brother's going to start by grabbing some green glass that we've preheated to about 1,000 degrees in our little color oven right here. He's going to start to heat that up, and I'm going to take a different pipe and get a little bit of clear glass out of our furnace. This furnace is 2,000 degrees on the inside, and it houses exclusively our clear glass. It's on 24/7, we never turn it off, and it's been on for about the last 5 years. So I'll take a second to shape this up, and then in just a moment, I'll blow a bubble into the center of this glass. This is what we call putting in our starter bubble. So now we have our base, which is our starter bubble. What we're going to do is cool it down while my brother heats up the green glass on the tip of his pipe, and in a moment we're going to drape it across that clear bubble and spread it to be a nice layer of green glass. This is what we call a color overlay. Now I know the glass doesn't look green, but right now it's at about 1500, 1600 degrees, so it changes colors. It gets really orange with all that energy, but I guarantee it is green. You'll start to see it kind of show up as the color cools down. So we spread that green glass across our clear bubble, and we have a great coat of that green. So now we're going to cover it in a layer of clear glass. This is called gathering. Anytime we get clear glass out of the furnace, we refer to it as gathering. So the process we're using today to make this vase is called Encalmo, which is derived from an Italian word that means to bring together. So we're going to start making some small cups out of different colors of glass, and then once we've made all of our cups, we'll reassemble them, stack them on top of each other to create layers of color in our vase. This color will be the cap, the very bottom of the piece, and then we're going to end up making 2 more cups to stack on top of it. We'll slowly start to inflate it. I want it to be just a tad bit bigger, and here in just a moment, we're actually going to transfer it from this pipe to another one by breaking it off of this one and transferring it to this pipe that my brother has with a small bit of glass on the tip.
Oh, you're all right. Cub Scouts. Yeah. Yeah. Never made it to Boy Scouts. Nah, dude. Cubs? Yeah, I know. Ready? Boy Scouts.
Alright, so the transfer went great, and now we're going to work on opening up the hole that's exposed at the tip of our glass so that it can be nice and open, and this can be the cap for our piece.
How's the head of my time? Go on.
Alright, so we've opened it up, and now we're basically done with this cap. So we're actually going to knock it off into the oven that we picked up the color out of originally. That way, it'll stay hot in there, and we'll be able to pick it up later when we need it.
Yeah, man, that's what I'm saying. Like, get a life, man.
And now we're going to start to make our second cup. This one's going to be a little bit more complicated. I have a very intricate pattern that I've laid out on this ceramic plate, and we're going to start to heat it up so that we can roll it up onto a blowpipe. You'll notice that the pattern consists of small discs of glass that I pre-made a different day before we got in here, and I've arranged them exactly how I want them on the plate. So we'll heat them up, and then we'll end up fusing them together, and like I said, we're going to roll it up onto a blowpipe so we have our pattern in a nice cylinder. This color application process is known as murrine, and it's one of the more complicated methods of applying color to your glass.
And I told Campbell, like, wait. You mean Izzy?
You can make murrines in different shapes. I decided to make these circular. Some people go with squares, some people go with triangles. It's really just a preference, you know, whatever you choose, it doesn't matter. But what we're doing now is I've heated it up and we're squeezing it together so that we can eliminate some of the gaps in between the discs.
Tiny collar. Okay.
And now, while my brother babysits that and makes sure it stays nice and hot, I'm going to make what's called a collar. So I'm getting a small bit of glass on the tip of my blowpipe, and here in just a moment, I'll blow a bubble straight through it so that we have a ring of glass on the tip of my pipe. While my glass is nice and hot, I have a small amount of time to manipulate it to make sure that it's just the right size to roll up our glass into a perfect cylinder. And there we go, the roll-up went great. This is one of the times where if you're not prepared and you don't measure things correctly, things can kind of go sideways, but we set up correctly and everything came out great, so we're smooth sailing so far.
Yeah, let it fall. Yeah. Yeah, flip. Alright, flip.
So as you can see, we still have a decent amount of gaps in between our little discs here, right? So what we're going to do is we're going to heat the glass up and push it around and really try to eliminate as many of those gaps as we can and try to make it nice and smooth on the outside.
Take it easy. You can go.
Remember, Dad was my coach.
Yeah, that was my coach too. And then he ended up being my soccer coach.
Now that the glass is all smooth, my brother's put a small disc of glass on our marbling table, and I'm going to pick that up to cap off our small cylinder here so that it's nice and airtight. This way, when I get rid of that clear glass on the end, I'm not getting rid of any of my pattern. I'm just eliminating the clear glass so that we can close it off and have a nice consistent pattern.
Blow hard. You know, come home from a hard day's work. All right, ready?
I've never been in this house.
I actually haven't.
It's like haunted.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Off.
So now the glass is nice and smooth, and you can really see that green color. We're starting to cool it down a tad bit so that we can go and get another layer of glass here in a moment on top of it.
They're not going to give you like Bombay Sapphire. Coming out.
Oh my God.
All right, so now we have all the material we're going to need for this particular cup. This cup is going to be the middle cup, so it needs to be open on both ends. So essentially we're making a certain kind of tube. So I'm going to inflate it a small bit, and then we're going to end up opening up the end and breaking it off the pipe so it has a hole on either side.
I'm actually okay. Do you want to give me some air? You can blow. Light. All right, off. Brother, brother, brother.
Remember put your jacket. I like the fade of the part.
Yeah, I do too. Yeah.
So now the end is open, and what we're going to do is slowly start to open it up so it's the same diameter as the cup that we knocked off before. I took a small measurement of that cup, and we're going to make sure that all the openings on these cups are the same size so we can easily stack them on top of each other.
Yeah, push hard. Awesome.
All right, and the size looks great on this. So now we're going to cool it down a small bit and knock it off into that same color box that we knocked off the other cup into.
You know how to chase some kid.
All right, so now the actual assembly of the piece is going to begin. So my brother's going to pick up a second piece of green glass out of the color oven, and we're going to smear this on top of another bubble just like we did with the first piece.
Great name.
Yeah, great. I got the stuff for lox bagels and made that the other day.
Likes vegetables, yes.
So a lot of times it's just vegetable and white meat chicken.
Exactly. Chicken breast, rice, and broccoli. All right. All right, here we go. Awesome. It's okay. You know, it's so funny. When I want to be a glass blower.
So this will be the final gather we get out of the furnace. What the plan is with this bubble is we're going to end up opening up the end just like we did on the middle cup, but this will act as a collar. So we're just going to open up the tip of it, and then we'll be able to assemble the rest of the cups to the lip of it.
You can blow. Off.
Sounds fun.
You can blow. Off.
Like, all right, y'all gotta go. Like, literally, like, if we were kids.
Carl.
He's doing it.
Go on.
I lived with Stan.
There you go. Off.
We got caught together.
All right, so everything seems to be the right size. We're all set up for success so far. And here in just a moment, my brother is going to pick up the middle cup, the murrine cup that we made, and we'll start to heat up the lips and begin to assemble. We need to make sure that both of the lips of these cups are molten so that they fuse together. If one's colder than the other, we won't get a great connection, so we need to make sure that they're both nice and hot. So we're going to trade the blowpipes back and forth for a small amount of time, heat up the lips. You can see I'm using the torch on this one, and once they're both the right temperature, we'll be able to bring them together.
Fall, flip, up. Yep, just give it a tap.
All right, there we go. So that was a great connection. And now there's a hole on the tip of this one. Remember, that cup was hollow all the way through. So we're going to open it up to that same measurement that we had before, and then we'll bring over the last cup, which will be our cap for the end of the piece.
Surf music, guys, like, I want to do this, but I like it.
There we go.
I'm down.
Yeah, it'll be fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's awesome.
You said you were ready, right? I'll get a deep one on the next one.
Yep. And then we'll go for it. Up.
All right, there we go. So the piece is finally fully assembled. We have our color pattern exactly how we want it to be. Right about now, we're about 45 minutes into the process, so we didn't even begin to make the piece until about, like I said, 45 minutes in. So this technique can be quite time consuming. It takes quite a while to be able to make these intricate things and be able to make the cups and assemble them all together. Really is time consuming. But now that we're here, we can begin to actually blow some glass and make our final vase. For anybody new to the channel, you've probably seen me use this tool quite a bit today. This is called our newspaper tool. So basically it's about 12 sheets of newspaper folded up and soaked in water, and it helps me control where the bubble goes. If I want the bubble to expand less in a certain area, I just cap it with my wet newspaper and it'll slow down the expansion.
Off. All right, we'll jack line. This looks great, Luke.
Now you've also probably seen me use this tool quite a few times to put small incisions off of the tip of the pipe. We made one for every one of these cups except for the collar. This is what we call putting in the jack line. The big tweezers in my hand are known as jacks, and basically we're deciding where we're going to break this piece off of the pipe. Eventually we're going to have to transfer this to another pipe like we did with the first cup, and that's where we're going to break the piece off. So we're basically establishing where the top of the piece is going to be.
All right, off. Okay. We'll go for a bottom here in a second. I'll throw my... Okay. Push. All right, that's good.
And now it's time for that transfer I talked about before. So my brother has a solid pipe with a little bit of glass on the tip. This is known as a punty. And what I'm going to do is stab it onto the bottom, basically as in the center as I can. I want this thing to be as symmetrical as possible. So now we apply a little bit of water right where we want it to break. I'll pull it back onto the rail, give it a tap, and it should pop right off. All right, so the transfer went great. That's one of those anxious moments where it's a really good chance that if we aren't set up right, the piece could definitely break. So everything went great. I'm really happy with that transfer. And now the only thing left to do is inflate the piece a small bit more, and then we'll open it up and create our final form.
Tried to make it flatter, but it's okay. All right, y'all, that's gonna be it. You wanna turn this for me for a second?
So we've put the final touches on the piece, but we're not out of the woods yet. The last step is to break it off of the pipe, which can also be a very risky kind of moment. So we're heating it up so that it's nice and hot, it's not too cold, it won't break on me. And here in just a moment, we'll apply some more water to the area we want it to break off on, give the pipe a little tap, and it should come right off. Now we'll transfer this into one of our annealing ovens for it to cool overnight, and we'll come back in the morning to see what it looks like.
Look at that. Yeah, man, thank you. Woo! That was awesome.
All right, and here's our final product. I'm in love with this piece. All in all, it took about 2 hours to make, and I know this 20-minute long video doesn't exactly show the whole process, but it's quite a lengthy process when you're making these complicated pieces, but I'm in love with it. This is one of my favorite vases I've ever made. So if you're interested in purchasing this piece, we have it available on our website right now, so please check out the description box below if you want to take a look at our shop. And thanks for hanging out with us today, y'all. You guys know I appreciate you guys the most. Y'all are the best. Be safe out there, and we'll catch you in the next video.